Megan's entrepreneurial spirit took flight when she discovered the Bliss trailer for sale on Craigslist in 2015. Just a year later, Pineapple Bliss opened its doors and today boasts both a storefront and mobile trailer. Her motivation for Pineapple Bliss comes from her personal health journey, particularly her research into food and food allergies after being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. Coupled with her sweet tooth, this passion led her to create a delicious, stress-free treats that accommodate dietary restrictions and allergies. Pineapple Bliss has won several awards, including Local Best Dessert Awards in Joplin, People's Choice, Arkansas Food Hall of Fame in 2013, Best Chef at the Taste of the Town in Northwest Arkansas in 2022, and Most Creative Bite. Megan's involvement in entrepreneurship continues to grow, as she was selected to join the Conductor 10X Growth Program through Startup Junkie and the University of Arkansas. She's also passionate about animal rescue with over 14 years of experience and is working on a new e-commerce project for pets called Exo Coco. Please join me in welcoming Megan Escalante.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, so where to begin? Is anyone here an aspiring business owner? Just raise your hand, maybe. No? No? Okay, fine. So actually I started here at MSSU, and I think it was the second semester of my sophomore year that I transferred to UMKC. And as she said, I originally wanted to be in the medical field. I thought I wanted to be a doctor until I had to give someone an enema, and then I was like, nope, this isn't for me. So I applied to dental school, but at that time it was kind of late. There weren't a lot of schools still accepting applications, and I only got accepted to one school, which was in New Jersey. And I decided I really didn't want to move that far away, especially if I wasn't sure that's what I wanted to do, and it was very expensive. So I ended up going ahead and accepting a job at a mortgage brokerage as a mortgage broker. And I actually really enjoyed that, but the market crashed. I think it was 2008, and our company closed. So then I was put in a position where I had to try to find another career again. I had just graduated college. And I just kept thinking back to, the entire time I was in college, I worked at a salon and I loved it. And when I was at the mortgage company, we had to work at least 60 hours a week there. And I was still trying to find time I could pick up a shift here and there at this salon. And so that inspired me to go to cosmetology school. So I moved back from Kansas City to Joplin, went to cosmetology school, and I had the goal that I wanted to own a salon. So fast forward, I've gone to cosmetology school. I actually worked at a marketing company part-time when I was in school there, and I worked at a restaurant. So I ended up gaining tons of restaurant experience and some marketing experience through that. I'm working at a salon at this point, and the owner decides that she wants to sell the salon. So I'm like, here's my opportunity, right? So a friend suggests to me that I should find a mentor, and suggested the SPORE program, which partners with the SBA. It's free. And so I met this wonderful gentleman. His name's Bob Headley, and he helped talk me through, or not through, this purchase. We just couldn't ever agree on a fair enough price to purchase it at, and there really wasn't enough profit to be made. And so he helped me see, this wasn't it. This wasn't where I was meant to be just yet. So I passed on this, even though no matter how much I wanted it, it just wasn't a good choice. And I'm just kind of sitting there waiting for the next opportunity, kind of thinking, what is it going to be? And I'm scrolling through Craigslist one day, which was a thing back then, and I see this trailer for sale. So someone actually started it in Joplin in 2015, and they operated it for about 3 weeks, and then they moved to the West Coast. So I presented this to Bob, and like Katie said, at this time, I was diagnosed with lupus, so I was really watching, inflammatory foods, chemicals, really starting to get really passionate about that. And I saw that they, were vegan, gluten-free, soy-free, and so this really fits, right? So I talked to him, we come up with a business plan together. I go back and forth and we make a purchase agreement, and so I'm buying this trailer, right? And then here comes time for me to get the loan, and as Tracy had mentioned earlier, I got a lot of no's. I actually got laughed out of someone's office, which was really infuriating and just motivated me like, oh, okay, now I'm really making this happen. I'm gonna have to figure out a way. So I talked one of my friend's parents into co-signing with me, and finally found someone that would say yes. And so we purchased this trailer. I hire a shipping company to ship it here, and the person driving it had a few too many adult beverages, and luckily no one got hurt, but they went to the wrong house once they made it all the way here, and they drove it through somebody's fence. So the entire side of this trailer is just ripped off, and all the machines and everything in it are just, toppled over. So luckily I had my insurance in place already, and it's impounded. I'm not able to get it out because my title's in the mail still. So long story short, by the time I get it out and I get it repaired, I find someone to even repair it, 30 days has come and gone. And in my purchase agreement, I only have 30 days to test the equipment. So I'm finally testing everything, and I realize one of the soft serve machines doesn't work. And I also learned through this, I'm trying to get parts for it, trying to find parts. And I learned that it's not really the machine I thought it was. There's a Spaceman machine, which is a name brand, more expensive machine, and then there's a Space knockoff machine that's much cheaper. And so I had thought I was getting this nicer machine, and it turns out it was the knockoff. So that was a huge learning lesson for me, because I realized I should have asked more questions. I should have gotten more things in writing. Whenever you think you've asked enough questions, you just ask a few more, just keep going. And no matter, every single thing you can get in writing, always get in writing. So that was a huge learning experience for me, because I ended up having to replace that machine, which was a huge expense just right off the bat. So I finally get everything working, start to operate. I've read these machine manuals left and right, front and back. I am like a guru now. I can take apart a soft serve machine in my sleep, right? We start having another challenge. We're in this tiny little 7x10 trailer. It's starting to get hot outside, and these machines put out a lot of heat, and so it's like 50 degrees hotter in this trailer. And not only am I sweating and super uncomfortable, but the machines just don't operate in high ambient temperature. So my next challenge is I have to figure out a way to get this heat out of this trailer. And so I have some heat and air companies come out, and they basically tell me it can't be done. And so I just brainstorm with Mr. Bob, who's still sticking by me through this whole ordeal, and I come up with an idea of building some boxes around it and basically having some attic fans to suck it out. And so I finally found one person willing to do this, and we do it, and it works. So the moral of this story is always trust yourself. Don't let people tell you no. Just do it anyway. Figure it. You're going to figure it out. If there's a problem, you're always going to find a solution. You just have to figure out what that solution is, which I think is what helped to get me here. Because that first year, there were just so many hiccups, one after the other, that if I had given up, it would have been all for nothing. And I just kept persevering through everything. If you know me, that's kind of my personality. I don't give up easy. And if someone tells me no, I'm like, well, yes, it's going to happen. So we make it through the first summer. I work about 18 hours a day through this whole entire summer. I'm trying to run this trailer as much as I can by myself, because I have a lot of money to pay back, and I can't necessarily hire employees just yet. And I'm still kind of working out the problems every day and figuring things out, and I'm just not ready to try to bring someone else on. And I'm still trying to keep the salon clientele that I had worked for. So mornings before the trailer opened, I would go work. I'd have someone, come help me out a little bit in the afternoons, and I'd go work at my salon, and then I would come back and the city didn't allow a trailer to be left parked overnight, so I would have to pack it up, take it home every single night, bring it back every single morning. So at this point, it's starting to feel like a marriage, like I'm married to a trailer. So the second summer, things are finally going a little smoother. I have, a lot of the issues worked out. I'm able to hire employees to help me. I'm able to go, focus working in my salon a little bit more. But I'm realizing, I'm getting a lot of calls, things going wrong. And I'm like, I got to figure out a way to be in two places at once. And so this is kind of where I start to think, we're building up our brand enough that maybe we could be in a building, and maybe I could get it to where the trailer or the business is by a salon. So this is 2017 at this point. 2016 was our first summer. And I'm just doing my best to get our word out. So we parked on Main Street here in Joplin. And even though, we did well there every day, we would travel all over anytime there was an event, just to build up our name and our awareness. And because usually if someone would just try us, one time, they would be hooked. So even if we were just giving stuff away for free, our ultimate goal is we have to get this in someone's hand and get them to try us. And, because at that time, social media was just kind of becoming a thing for businesses to advertise on. And it wasn't near the same as it is now. So word of mouth was really important then. I would say also now, the social media trends have totally changed, where you don't just put your product on there and say like, hey, here I am, come get me. You're connecting with your audience, you're showing faces, you're showing people, you're more than just a product, you're a whole experience, you're a value, you're improving someone's life in some way. So that's something, very important. So I start looking, I think it was 2018, the next summer, I'm looking for lots. I find one, I have to go to the city and get it rezoned. That takes quite a bit of time. Finally get everything finalized and start building. And it was, and so it ended up being that I built a salon there, and I built just a room to operate Pineapple Bliss out of, where we had a drive-through, which is the same building we have now, and a walk-up with patio seating. So January of 2020, we opened the salon, and I'm waiting for a little bit warmer weather to open the Pineapple Bliss, and the pandemic happens. So I'm freaking out. I'm put so much money into this. I'm like, what's gonna happen, So we end up having to shut down the salon during the shutdown period. And luckily we're able to keep Pineapple Bliss open since it was a drive-through. It was deemed an essential business. And I just couldn't believe, we had a line to the street every single day. It was amazing. I was so thankful. It was mind-blowing. And so we were very, very lucky, because a lot of restaurants weren't that lucky that didn't have a drive-through. I would say a lot of our challenges that year were shortages on almost everything that we had. We had to find ways to keep our product consistent, but we had to use different ingredients, and we had to make sure these ingredients fit our values of no high fructose corn syrup, no dyes, stuff like that. And it became a little bit challenging to find. But so we worked through that, and I decided to take our trailer to Northwest Arkansas. I had thought about growth, especially I was on a high because our building was doing so well. I thought I can do anything with this thing, right? So I go there, and I had been listening to the Startup Junkie podcast. I'd taken some phone call meetings with them, just getting business advice. Always trying. I had no business experience. I studied biology, so I knew I needed to learn what I was doing, because I was basically just winging it, kind of like I'm winging this speech right now. But got lots of advice from them, took the trailer there, and it did really well. I worked it at a Harps grocery store, and then I thought I'm going to open a storefront here and have a drive-through, and I'm going to see what it's like to have indoor dining. So I do that, and it does okay in the beginning, and then it starts to not do okay. So it's very humbling for me. And I'm, talking to them. I did the Conductor 10X growth program where I learned a lot about being a leader, which is very important, and trying to figure out ways to save it. And I learned that, everyone in my area, I'm in a strip center, is struggling. So I feel a little bit better that it's not just me, but in hindsight, my trailer was here in Arkansas and in Lowell, and then I had a lot of people coming from Fayetteville. And so I thought, I'm going to pick a spot in Springdale, right in between there. And I should have just picked, here or there and not tried to do in between, which, they tell you, even like for a niche, like don't try to be something for everyone. I think that also goes for your location. Like you just pick one or the other. You don't pick an in-between spot. The demographics were great. The traffic count was great. There are schools, neighborhoods, churches. So on paper, it should have worked, but it just didn't. And it was a great learning experience for me. It was hard because I invested a lot of money into it, and I love designing things, and I was like so proud of the design I had come up with there. And I don't let go easy. I don't give up easy. And so it was hard for me to come to that realization that I had to let this go and close it and get my space subleased. And so that is finally behind me. And I have taken my the trailer to, I could take it back to Northwest Arkansas. I think it would do well there. But I did take it to Grand Lake the past 2 summers, and it did well there, and it was convenient for me because I have a home there, and I have some family that lives there, and so there's only one of me. I kind of have to pick and choose, the best uses of my time, and so that just worked out a little bit better. Let's see, I also did the Curate Co., which is a program all over, but the girl that started it is from Northwest Arkansas. And so I learned through that, just making sure that I'm pricing things accurately, working through supply chain issues, increasing my creativity, increasing my leadership skills. So I would say you're never going to stop learning as a business owner, or really in any field that you choose. There's always growth to be had. Let's see. So now, let's see. I finally made it to the point where I'm not working 120 hours a week, or maybe I am, but I'm doing some of it from home, so it doesn't feel like it's as much. But I did start this whole situation with the Arkansas location. Did make me realize I want to diversify my income stream. I want to have backup plans. I don't want to be reliant on just this one thing, because it could be a fad. And you always have to try to stay relevant, especially in a smaller town like this. Every time there's something new that pops up, it's really, really popular, and then it kind of dies off. So we're always fighting to stay relevant and popular and connect with our customers and provide value to them. We're not just a dessert, we're an entire experience, or we strive to be when you come there. And so really trying to hone in on our values there, and what we are and who we are and how we're presenting ourselves is very fundamental to our success. I've been approached several times about franchising, and I do think this whole experience helped me hone in on what type of model it would be. It would not be a sit-down restaurant where the overhead is higher because your rent is higher, because we are ultimately a seasonal product, and we are a cheap product, so we rely on volume, to be able to cover our expenses. So keeping that overhead as low as possible is very important, which is why you see, the shaved ice, it's almost always in a truck or like a little stand. And so that helped me realize that if we are to grow, this is how we need to grow. And that I do need to keep my growth in-house and keep testing, different models, different ways, different processes, until I figure out what works before we try to take it to the next level. So even though I had that failure, I'm not letting that stop me from continuing to grow, but I am taking a pause to learn from it and to build other income streams, so that if it fails again, I have, a backup plan. And I do have other things I'm passionate about. I don't think you have to just put yourself in one box. I think it's okay to choose, you can be passionate about multiple things, you can have multiple businesses, you can have one business, you can do really whatever you want. So, I love traveling, but I don't really do it. So I'm living vicariously through other people I started a travel agency where I could work from my home. I'm really good at logistics, planning, research, and so it just seemed like a natural fit. A friend of mine from high school has been doing it, and she talked me into joining her team, and it's been fantastic. I love it. And then I also so I started doing, as Katie had said, I actually was vice president of an animal rescue right after the tornado in 2010, and around the time that I started Pineapple Bliss, my partner started nursing school, and so we kind of just ran out of time, and so we dissolved our rescue, and I just went to fostering for other rescues. And so I've always been very, very passionate about pets and taking care of pets, and even like pet nutrition is something I've really started to look into. And so about 2 years ago, I joined an e-commerce group where I learned how to start a brand, sell on platforms like Amazon. And I think I took it as far as I could with that group. And I applied for something called the Titan Network, which if you are in e-commerce, you know who a Titan is. I don't want to toot my own horn, but it's kind of a big deal. I was very proud of this. And so I'm working one-on-one with a mentor in that group that has had pet companies that is helping me to build my pet brand, which is called Exo Coco. And my goals with this brand is to basically, we're going to give back to homeless pets, but build enough revenue that I can start a non-biased research into pet food, because I personally don't believe pets should have I don't think their guts are meant to have the processed food that they have, because 1 in 3 dogs have cancer now. So that is my passion project. So I have human passion project of human dessert, and then the pet project. So I think that's all I have. Does anybody have questions?
Don't be shy.
Nope, I have a question. I can just speak loudly.
Perfect.
Okay. Hi, Nick. I'm Kelsey Little. I work in the SBDC, so this is it's not a plant, but I did have a question for you, and you might have talked about this before I came in. I'm always interested in research surrounding self-efficacy, which, if anyone needs that defined, at the very, very core, self-efficacy is just believing that you can actually do something that you set your mind to. Okay, that's the most basic thing. And so I'm just always curious when I talk to entrepreneurs where that self-efficacious behavior comes from, and where you think you inherited that, or if you think it's natural, or if it's something that you've learned. Because there's so many people, maybe even including myself, that have never owned a business or have gotten a degree and they're like, okay, I'm only on this one set path. But you've totally branched out, and we see that with successful entrepreneurs, that they truly believe that they can do something even if they fail and something else. So just from your perspective, where do you think that self-efficacious behavior comes from? And if you think you could grow it organically, or if it comes from somewhere like taught from parents? That's maybe a lot, but I'm curious.
I mean, I do have my moments of self-doubt, absolutely. But I think it all comes from inner self-talk. So I had kind of how do I say this? A different childhood where I didn't have a lot of encouragement, and I just had to learn to encourage myself. And so every time I was told no, I was like, but why? Or, I always was like, well, no, yes, I'm just going to figure out how to get that yes. So I think that was just something about my personality probably early on, which was probably really annoying to my dad, because he couldn't really ever tell me no very easily. That's usually what got me grounded. But I think I do just have like an internal strive to live life to the fullest and just see what I can do and accomplish what I can do, and I want to make a difference. So, and a lot of it is just internal self-talk. Anytime I start to have self-doubt or think I can't do something, I'm like, but why do you think you can't do it? What makes you different than anybody else? You can do it. So
Hi, I'm Doug Hunt with the Joplin Chamber. I just am so inspired by your energy and your focus. Your story is amazing. My question is, what would you give as advice to your younger self on how to handle the stress from the beginning to where you are now?
I would say delegate more, learn how to delegate, and really invest in your team and your people to help you, because you can't do everything, and be flexible and pivot when you need to. Pivoting is very important. An example would be Blockbuster. If they had just pivoted into the digital world, they might still be a company with us, but they are not.
Okay, you mentioned some resources like mentors and I don't know, like places where you found inspiration and you were able to learn. I'm wondering which ones you would recommend to other people who are interested in starting their own business or being entrepreneurial. Like which ones impacted you the most and helped you the most in your journey?
Sure. Well, I think a great place to start would be Katie. I think she has a lot of resources. And then for me personally, the SCORE program was the great starting place for me, but that also was the only one I kind of knew of. And then you're gonna grow through different mentorships as you progress. Like, you will never be a big enough business to not need a mentor. Everyone I know in business, multi-million-dollar companies, they all have a mentor. But as they progress through their ownership, they're, okay, this mentor helps you to this level, then you go to this mentor, and so on. So don't think you have to stick with the same one, or you might find a couple and see which ones are a better fit for you. But I would definitely start with Katie and reach out to the SCORE program.
Do you think like your biology background, biochemistry background helps you a lot when you're formulating your ice cream products, or is somebody to help you during that time? And there's one more question, like what are your favorite formulations?
Ube is my favorite formulation. I would say actually my restaurant experience, I've never thought that would come in handy at the time when I was a server, but I would say my restaurant experience definitely helped me. I worked at some very nice restaurants I worked at 609, and then I worked at Red Oak, which Red Oak has, top chefs, and they taught me a lot. And then just my own research, and I would find a soft serve company or ice cream company on Facebook, and if they're far enough away, like Florida, where they wouldn't consider me competition, I just called them all and asked them how they did stuff. Most of them would tell me no, but every now and then someone would say yes, or I'd say, can I offer you, to pay you to help me with this? And a lot of them were very kind, and they did. And then I would say where the biology came in and the chemistry would probably be more with our sanitation. I am a little, if you've ever taken microbiology, you know what I'm saying, you become very aware of germs and cross-contamination, and so that's helped us, I think, with our image of cleanliness and not cross-contaminating. It's very important not to cross-contaminate gluten and vegan items, especially.
I have a question. So working with entrepreneurs, I see it, you wear a lot of hats, right? And you don't sleep a lot. And at some point through your journey, you have to let go of some control in terms of trust.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Pineapple Bliss a lot, and I don't usually ever see you, but you have amazing staff. At what point, how did you step into that? I know a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with that because they want to do it all, but essentially as you grow, you physically can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one thing I learned, and I actually learned this in the 10X conductor class, was you have to learn where your time is most valuable. Am I most valuable cleaning, or am I most valuable making our marketing? Am I most valuable making the schedule and serving a customer, or am I most valuable making our orders, making sure the quality control, making sure everybody's making things right? So yeah, I had to learn where am I needed the most, where should I be to get our company where it needs to be, and what can I teach others?
Well, thank you, Megan. Your story is amazing.